what do you make of the incredible ascent of the German housing market, and how far can it go from here?
Matt, thank you for allowing me to join you. Well, the ascent of the housing market has two effects. The first one is there has been a structural imbalance between demand and supply for more than a decade. Actually, from the reunification 25 years onwards. The key issue I see is that the public is waking up to this because it's becoming A, critical, and B, we are having a listed sector now, which of course pushes this challenge into the public domain, also of the capital markets, and that's why you see more of it at the moment. I still don't believe that we have a bubble at the moment. Matt, please.
Why hasn't there been more supply put into the market? It's a huge issue, obviously, here in Berlin. A lot of citizens, voters, are worried that not enough apartments have been built. But really, across Germany, is the funding the problem? Is there not enough funding there, credit there for building new apartments, new buildings?
No, I would say since the 1970s, we believe that Germans are dying out, that we have a smaller and smaller population. We then had to digest the reunification in the 90s. We reduced simply the number of staff for building permits. Then the next bottleneck will be craftsmen, availability of labor who can work these things through. I'm sure we will discuss over the next minutes more about that. And last but not least, land. There are some cities which physically can't grow, except you allow that the city grows into high rises, which is very critical from a public perception in Germany at the moment. So there is no money issue at all. We are all awash with liquidity. We can finance every program. We just have to find the land and the permits.
Is that because of the ECB? Is the cheap money coming out of the ECB part of that story?
Yes, because the ECB keeps the interest rates relatively low, incredibly low. And even if somebody gets excited because we have 25 basis points more at some point in time, when I joined this industry 7 years ago, we had 4.67% base rate. With a positive beforehand. It was not a negative rate. So yes, of course, that helps a lot. But nevertheless, if there is enough market, if there is enough demand, you will always find the right way. I think it was simply a neglected infrastructure issue.
Are there key cities where you're worried about? Are there key cities where we're going to see bubbles forming? People talk about Munich as being a real hotspot at the moment. What's happening in Berlin? Kind of just give me a sense of whether certain places, certain sort of just micro markets are beginning maybe to get a little too hot.
I would like to answer this question, Guy, from two sides. The first one is, yes, there are cities which are in the focus. And in Munich, you can't buy anything below 50 times rent or 2% yields, which is
2%, wow.
Yeah, which is for a 40-year investment maybe not the smartest move. I see it slightly differently. There are 30 cities in Germany identified which will grow over the next 25 years. Berlin is, of course, one of those, and Munich is one of those. But there are also smaller university towns, the Münsters, the Braunschweigs, the Augsburgs of the world, of Germany, which are extremely positive for the next decades. And always keep in mind, these are long-term investments, high asset intensity, low yielding, so you have to be right in your positioning.
You mentioned the issue, Stefan, of infrastructure. And I know, here in Berlin, where it takes about a month to get license plates for a car, that problem hasn't been addressed. We're in a situation now where the SPD is bringing up issues of Bürgerversicherung and higher taxes. Do you have any confidence at all that the digitalization and infrastructure issues will be addressed anytime soon?
In principle, yes, because the level of pragmatism which we can play if we run complete quarters is usually quite good. It will be done in the private sector. The private sector has led to a professionalization of the whole industry. In the moment when you connect, of course, with the local government, you will see differences. There's a different housing policy in Hamburg than in Berlin. There are different infrastructural issues there, but you know what? We're all complaining at a very high level here, and we can improve significantly still. But I'm not too concerned about that. This will be operational glitches, but this will not be a strategic issue for us.
Nonetheless, it's a country famous for its Autobahn and seems to have trouble building roads anywhere. You see everywhere construction sites with no workers on them, just creating traffic jams that are 20 kilometers long. Don't you think it's unlikely that we see real change to that situation, even if there's a grand coalition again?
You know what, infrastructure questions in Germany, yes, it always goes too slow. Once in my career, I've lived for 4 years in Dubai, where it took three years only to build a complete subway system. I agree with you. We're also very impatient, so it's always too slow. We as a company were very quickly aware that we will have a staffing issue. There will not be enough craftsmen available. So we created at least Germany's biggest, maybe even Europe's biggest craftsman organization internally, just to keep these things going and to run our modernization program. And this is for us personally very important. That was a strategic decision which we made. But I agree with you, I get frustrated too if I'm in a traffic jam in Germany.
Matt likes his cars, and he's very concerned about what's happening with the Autobahns.
We'll take this bilateral.
Yeah. Let's just kind of wrap it up. You talk about the program that you've announced. Who are you bringing into that program? Germany has a huge influx of migration that has taken place over the last few years. Are you pulling in people from that migration surge that's come through? And has that migration surge created extra demand for housing? Kind of has it fed through into the housing story? And I kind of want to feed this back into the politics that we're watching so carefully in Germany at the moment.
Guy, yes and no. We are sourcing craftsmen from Belarus to Portugal.
Right.
Yeah. So you have in the crews maybe one German speaker. This is normal.
Yep.
They get all trained, and by the way, completely with work and labor agreements in Germany. So we'll definitely look for compliance here. We just need people who can do this.
Yep.
Migration over the last years has further heated up the market. It doesn't affect us because we're de facto rented out.
Yep.
But it influences, of course, the executive branch to a certain degree that we get building permits faster. It's still too slow. Yeah. But building
said that
permit
throughout this whole.
I know it's still too slow. There's too much red tape. The current political uncertainty does not affect us. I can clearly say that because it's not as uncertain as it looks. It's a lot of stability in the system, so that's nobody's concern. But in principle, I would say getting your own people to work works. Migration will have a medium and long-term effect. My personal view is a positive effect on our country. We've done this for centuries now, but this is not affecting Vonovia at the moment.
Stefan, it's been great to see you this morning. Thank you very much indeed for coming in to see us in our new building here in London. And you've got to go see Matt in Berlin.
Yeah, and it's spectacular what you have here.